Today I'm going to talk about the modifications I made to my older Delta Unisaw. I got this table saw about 10 years or so ago, and I think it's probably from the 1950s or the 1960s. The first thing I did was I built a shroud around the motor, and that was to help contain the dust. Then down below I put in a port for a dust collection hose, and then on the inside of it I taped heavy-duty tarp that along the bottom on the inside that directs the sawdust that comes down by the blade toward the dust collection port. In the old days you just scooped out the sawdust from this bin access door down there. And then I changed the original switch, which was a toggle switch in that location, and I put in a magnetic switch that's out further and easier to get to. And the saw came with the original factory fence, and I replaced it with this fence that I inherited from my father-in-law. And when I got that fence, I put in the, I made the side table and the outfeed table. And these are heavy-duty tabletops that I found at a garage sale. And I mounted them so that they're adjustable. And I just used, this is an old hinge that I connected to the mounting pole for the overhead blade guard. And then this is a section of bed rail. And then these are hanger bolts that go into the tabletop, and they're adjustable. It's important to have the table level and straight and even with the level of your saw. And I also reinforced these tabletops with a section of bed rail mounted underneath it. So I used the saw a few years that way, and then DeWalt came out with their table saw with a sliding table, and they sold that separately. You could buy that separately. It's the DeWalt DW7461. So I got that, and it was not too difficult to mount to this saw. I had to do a little grinding. I used a cheap metal grinder that I got from Harbor Freight. It took about a day, as I recall, to mount it. And it's adjustable, so you can get it even with your saw and cutting quite square. So it greatly improves the accuracy for cutting panels and such. I also put in an overarm blade guard. I'm a great believer in blade guards. I've had some near misses over the years. And another thing that I got was the Delta makes this splitter that's very handy. When you don't need it, it just pushes down into the saw. You don't have to mess with a wrench and bolts or anything. And then I needed some storage, so this was a dresser I found on the side of the road with a sign on it that said it was free. So I cut off the legs and painted it gray to match the saw. And this was a blonde oak dresser, probably from the 50s. Kind of cheaply made. And I think this was the way they were making cheap furniture before they invented particle board. Then on the other side I have another storage cabinet, and this one I rescued from a dumpster. I never got around to painting it. So this holds more saw accessories. So those are some of the modifications you can do to your older Delta Unisaw to make it a more accurate and more convenient saw to use.